So I went to the 19th most dangerous city in the world, and to be honest, I absolutely loved it. And that's not because I have Stockholm syndrome and I love being robbed and mugged everywhere in the world, but in fact it's because this city is beautiful, as you can probably tell from the clips here. The city is full of vibrant, bustling culture, full of great restaurants with fantastic local cuisine, lots of great bars, lots of colourful, beautiful architecture, and you will see some very nice sunsets here as well. I read so much online about this city being really dangerous and not worth it. I was almost on the verge of not coming to this city, but I'm so glad that I did. Excluding war zones, in 2022, Salvador had the 19th highest homicide rate in the world, and you will probably encounter many Brazilians who will tell you that Salvador is so dangerous and you're going to have your phone stolen and you've got to be so careful. And I will not lie, the majority of the residential parts of Salvador are very rough, as you can see here in these clips. But as a tourist and a foreigner, you're not going to be staying in these rough parts of the town, because you're going to do your research, hopefully, and you're going to stay in the touristic parts of the city, and you're probably going to be absolutely fine. Two things that I have learned having traveled to over 40 countries. Firstly, homicide rates should not be used to judge the safety of a destination, partly because being unalived is not the only measure of safety. For example, how many people get robbed, how many cars get broken into. These are other measures of safety as well as homicide rate. And partly because imagine you have a city with one really dangerous neighborhood full of gang warfare, but the rest of the city is well policed and really safe. Just because you have one dangerous gang warfare neighborhood doesn't mean the entire city is dangerous and should be avoided. And the second thing that I've learned traveling is to watch the behavior of locals when you go to a so-called dangerous place, because if locals have their phones out, then it's probably safe for you to do the same as well. But if no one has their phone out and everyone looks a bit scared and on edge, then you should probably be a bit scared and on edge as well. It would be incorrect and wrong of me to sit here and tell you that Salvador is really safe and you do not need to take any precautions, because you will need to take precautions here. It is not the safest city on planet Earth. But if you do follow the precautions that I will share with you in this video, then definitely come to Salvador. You're gonna have a great time. If you're spending a few months in Brazil and skip out on coming to Salvador, in my opinion, you really have missed out. You've missed out on fascinating history, you've missed out on vibrant African culture and influences, you've missed out on arguably the best food in Brazil. My favorite Brazilian dish is moqueca, which is from Salvador. And by the way, for the best moqueca, go to Casa de Teresa restaurant, have the chef's special moqueca. Thank me later. But anyway, let's now talk about how to stay safe when you come to Salvador. And let's firstly talk about which neighborhoods are the best ones to stay in. Now, firstly, you have the historic old town called Pelourinho. This is where you find all the beautiful colonial architecture. This region that I've circled here is where you will find lots of touristic things such as museums, galleries, restaurants, cafes, churches. You're going to see the guys do the traditional capoeira fighting here. You're going to hear lots of drums and music. And during the daytime, I would personally say that I felt pretty damn safe here. You have a really big police presence everywhere in the old town. During the daytime in Pelourinho, you're going to see lots of tourists and lots of tour guide groups. For example, I saw a tour guide group full of British pensioners. And on the main streets and on the main squares, you will see lots of people with their phones out taking pictures, so you can do the same as well. Now, there are some darker, more deserted alleyways and side streets that you probably want to be a bit more careful on, but as long as you stick to the main streets where all the tourists are, you're going to be fine here. I think the main thing to worry about in Pelourinho during the daytime would just be the pushy vendors. You have a lot of pushy vendors trying to sell you bracelets and items. You have a lot of guys who try to paint your arms. You will notice some tourists in the old town with paint all over their arms, because you have these painters who sell their painting services to paint tourists' arms. Now, before I came to Salvador, I heard people say that these vendors are horrible. They don't leave you alone. They will put bracelets on you even if you say no. Now, that was not my experience. From my experience, when I told these vendors a solid no, I don't want your bracelet, no, I don't want paint on me, they tended to just leave me alone. Some guys needed 2 no's to go away, but I did not get anyone forcefully put bracelets on me or forcefully try and paint me. That was not my experience. For me, these vendors in Salvador were no different to the vendors you get in Barcelona or Rome or Paris. If you can deal with those ones, then you can certainly deal with the ones in Salvador. Now, at night time, I did notice that Pelourinho got a little bit more deserted, a little bit more eerie. You definitely notice a lot more homeless people in Pelourinho at night time. You will, of course, find some nice restaurants in Pelourinho with good traditional food, but Pelourinho is not really a nightlife district, so it won't be buzzing and full of bars. The main nightlife neighborhood of Salvador, and this is the second neighborhood that you could consider coming to stay in when you are in Salvador, is the Rio Vermelho neighborhood. Now, you won't find too many tourist sites here in Rio Vermelho, but what you will find is you will find some nice apartments and Airbnbs. You do have some famous hotel chains here, such as Ibis and Novotel. There are some nice cafes and restaurants in Rio Vermelho. So for example, Casa de Teresa that I mentioned earlier on in this video is located in Rio Vermelho. And as I suggested, this is the main nightlife district in the city. This is where you come for all the bars and live music. That square that you just saw with the drummers and the bars is called Lago da Dinha. Everyone just heads down there. Now, little pro tip, if you want to save a little bit of money, don't go and drink at these bars and sit down at these bars, because firstly, the drinks are a little bit expensive, and secondly, you are charged 10% service charge. There are lots of street vendors about. Just go to one of the street vendors and buy a beer or a caipirinha there, because they will be cheaper than sitting down in these bars if you are on a budget. You will also find nightclub venues around the area as well. Now, in my opinion, for my money, during the daytime, I feel that Rio Vermelho is a little bit more unsafe than Pelourinho, because in Pelourinho, you've got lots of tourists, lots of tour guides, you've got lots of police. Whereas in Rio Vermelho, you do not see many police officers, you don't see too many tourists because it's not really a touristic part of town. And as you can tell from these clips, it's just not as architecturally pretty as Pelourinho. So my gut feeling told me that Rio Vermelho felt a little bit more sketchy, although I did actually stay in Rio Vermelho and I had no issues. Just be a little bit more self-aware in Rio Vermelho. Keep your eyes on your belongings and keep your eyes of your surroundings, and you should be okay. Now, the third neighborhood that you could consider staying in Salvador is the Barra region of the city, as you see circled here. Bahia to me feels like a mix between Rio Vermelho and Pelourinho. It's not as beautiful as Pelourinho, but it's more beautiful than Rio Vermelho. It's not as residential as Rio Vermelho, but it's more residential than Pelourinho. There is definitely a bigger police presence here in Bahia compared with Rio Vermelho, so it does feel quite safe. In Bahia, you have two beaches. You have the Porto da Barra beach and you have the Faro do Barra beach. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that these two beaches are the best beaches in the world, because they're not. They're very overcrowded. Salvador in general is just not a beach city, but these two beaches are very vibrant. There's lots of people about, there's lots of music, people playing football. In this beach you see on the clip here, Porto da Barra, it's actually quite fun to float in the sea because it is quite a steep beach. But I think the best thing about this beach and just Bahia in general is the sunset. You get one of the most incredible sunsets you're probably ever going to see here in this part of town. And in fact, what most people do and what you will want to do is you will want to go to the Faro de Barra, which is the famous lighthouse that you see on all the postcards of Salvador. You will want to go around the corner and try your best to find a place to sit down and watch the sunset. It is one of the best sunsets, as I said before, you're probably ever going to see. You will find some nice cafes, some nice ice cream shops, some nice acai shops in Barra. There are some good bars as well where you can have a nice drink. It is not as party and late night as Rio Vermelho, but as I said, it's kind of like a nice mix between Pelourinho and Rio Vermelho. As for the safety in Bahia, as long as you stick to the main pedestrian areas, you're going to be probably fine. There are some dodgy looking side streets that you probably wouldn't want to walk down, but as a tourist, you wouldn't walk down them anyway, so you're going to be fine. So Pelourinho, Bahia and Rio Vermelho, those are the three neighborhoods that you should consider staying in when you come to Salvador. But now, just some general Salvador safety tips. Firstly, to travel between the different neighborhoods, use Uber. Uber is safe and it's very affordable in Salvador. I mean, you will see lots of taxis, lots of local Salvador taxis in the city, but just use Uber because Uber is safe. As you see on this map here, the three neighborhoods that we've talked about in today's video are quite spread out and quite far from each other, and there are a lot of rough neighborhoods in between these three circled neighborhoods. So just use Uber. Don't even think about walking, because one, it's too far, and two, there are some dangerous places. Now, Now, another safety thing to mention about Salvador, and to be fair, this is not unique to Salvador. This is just a Brazil thing that you find in every major Brazilian city. You will see a lot of homeless people, and if you are sat outside at a bar or a restaurant, there is a good chance a beggar will probably come up to you, or just people who are not looking in a great state at all and not living a great life. If you don't feel comfortable with giving them some cash or food, you can just say no, and generally they will just leave you alone. Some of them may try and come back twice, but generally if you say no, they will just go. But you probably will feel guilty if you say no, because some of these people are in such a horrific state, it's unbelievable. Now, another general Brazil safety tip is just don't wear expensive designer gear. Don't wear jewelry and watches. There is no need to. If you're going to one of these beach towns or coastal towns, just wear beach clothes. Just wear chilled, relaxed clothing. Wearing expensive watches and necklaces and designer clothing just makes you an unnecessary target. You don't need to wear stuff like this. Just wear chilled clothes. And the final little safety tip for Salvador that I would mention is something that I found in my research before I came to Salvador. I found that you should not apparently do hand gestures and hand symbols in Salvador. Apparently gangs use hand symbols to communicate with each other, so when you're walking down the streets in Salvador, just be careful not to make any funny shapes with your fingers and your hands, and hopefully that'll be fine. But in my opinion, these safety tips are not hard things to follow. If you follow these rules, you're gonna be fine here. You're gonna have a great time. As I said before, you should not be scared to come here. This is certainly one of the best cities in South America, so make sure you plan your trip down to Salvador. But if you are from Salvador, or if you have been to Salvador before, let me know if you have any tips and recommendations for the city. Comment that below, because it will be interesting for other viewers of this video to know. Also as well, if you're planning to come to Salvador and Brazil for the first ever time, let me know in the comments. It will be interesting to see. But otherwise, I hope you have enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Make sure you hit the like button right now if you have, because it really does help out the video on the algorithm. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell. That also helps out the channel, and it means you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And finally, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more travel videos. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.